Hi, boys and girls. We are going to be talking about comparison problems today. Now, these problems are pretty tricky, so I need you to be really following along as we go through the worksheets. There are 2 pages in your packet that we're going to do together, and then you're going to do a seesaw activity to practice and show me that you understand. So open up to your packet to the page that says, it's page 67, it says discuss comparison problems at the top. Once you're there, we will get started. The first part says, to prepare for a family gathering, Sarah and Ryan made soup. Sarah made 2 quarts, Ryan made 6 quarts. You can compare amounts using multiplication and division. So over on the side, we have the comparison bars. Ryan made 6. Sarah made 2. Now, it broke it down into Ryan had 2, 4, 6, and Sarah had just 2. So Ryan had 3 times as much as Sarah because 3 times 2 equals 6. We can say that in reverse as a fraction as saying Sarah had 1/3 as many as Ryan. Let's try one down here. It says Natasha made 12 quarts of soup. Manuel made 3 quarts. So we're going to start by making comparison bars. So we have Natasha and Manuel. Now, she made 12 and he made 3. Now, if we wanted to split 12 into groups of 3, 3, 6, 9, 12. So we know that Natasha had 4 groups of 3 and Manuel had 1 group of 3. So it says blank made 4 times as many quarts as blank. Well, if you say 4 times as many, that is saying that you made more. So we know that that was Natasha that made 4 times as many as Manuel. Write a multiplication equation that compares the amounts. Well, we pretty much know it from the clue right there. So we have 4 times 3 equals 12. Now, if we wanted to look at it the other way, it says blank made 1/4 as many quarts as blank. Well, if you only have a fraction of what the other person has, you have less. So who had less? Manuel had less. Had 1/4 as many as Natasha. Write a division equation that compares the amounts. So just like we did 4 times 3 is 12, we can reverse that. 12 divided by 4 equals 3. Multiplication is the putting together of equal groups. How can this idea be used to explain why a times as many comparing situation is multiplication? Well, the clue right now is if it says times as many, that word times pretty much tells us that we need to multiply. I'm going to go on to the next page. Let's flip over. We are going to solve some problems. Number 1 says, in the gym, 8 girls are standing in one line and 4 boys are standing in another line. Draw comparison bars to compare. So we have girls and we have boys. Now there are 8 girls and 4 boys. Before I do anything, I'm going to think, how many 4s are there in 8? I know that there are 2 4s in 8. Write a multiplication equation that compares the number of girls to the number of boys. Well, there are 4 boys and 8 girls. How many times more girls are there? Well, 4 times what would get us to 8? Did you say 2? So we know boys times 2 equals girls, or 4 times 2 equals 8. Now we're going to write a division equation that compares the number of boys to the number of girls. So if their girls were 2 times as many, to do a division, we need to do the opposite. We need the fraction. So instead of saying times 2, we would use the fraction 1/2, because we would always just take this number here and make that the denominator. So the opposite of times 2 is 1/2. So 1/2 of girls equals boys. Or we could have said 8 divided by 2 equals 4. Let's take a look at number 10. It says a collection of coins contains 20 pennies and 4 nickels. Write a multiplication and a division equation that compares the number of pennies and the number of nickels. Well, let's think about this. If there are 4 nickels and 20 pennies, 4 times what equals 20? Well, I know 4 times 5 equals 20. Now, if I wanted to write that in reverse as a division, I would say 20 divided by 5 equals 4. Number 11 says a 4th grade class is made up of 12 boys and 24 girls. How many times as many girls as boys are in the class? Well, there's 12 boys and 24 girls. 12 times what would get us to 24? The answer would be 2. There are 2 times as many girls as boys. Number 12 says Fred has 24 football cards. Scott has 1/6 as many football cards as Fred. How many football cards does Scott have? Well, if Fred has 24, Scott has 1/6 as many, so he has less. So he has a division problem. He has 1/6, or divided by 6. 24 divided by 6 equals what? Well, how many 6s are there in 24? 6, 12, 18, 24. So there were 4. He has 4 cards. I know these are tricky. That's why I wanted to go through some together. What you're going to be doing next on your seesaw is you are going to find comparison problems practice. You'll add a response, and there are some comparison problems to solve. It says, for this one, Mrs. Duran has 30 student workbooks. This is 5 times as many as Mrs. Schulte. How many workbooks does Mrs. Schulte have? Now, sometimes it's easiest for me to visualize it with comparison bars. So Mrs. Duran has 30. Now it says this is 5 times as many as Mrs. Schulte. So that means Mrs. Schulte has less. She has 5 times more than Mrs. Schulte. So Mrs. Schulte has 1/5 of what Mrs. Duran has. So 1/5 of 30. So to figure that out, we would need to go 30 divided by 5 to get how many books Mrs. Schulte had. let's see here, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Mrs. Schulte had 6 books. I'll try one more with you, and then you can do the rest on your own. If you look on the side here, there are other pages to practice. So let's do one more together. Miss Moser has 60 birthday pencils. This is 10 times as many as Mrs. Rockford. How many does Mrs. Rockford have? Well, I'm going to put Moser and Rockford. Moser has 60. Now it says that this is 10 times as many as Mrs. Rockford. So Mrs. Rockford has less. So something, I'll say pencils, times 10 is going to equal 60. Or 60 divided by 10 is going to equal pencils. So how many pencils does Mrs. Rockford have? Well, how many 10s are there in 60? The answer would be 6. Now, again, I know these are really tricky. What I'd like you to do is do your best on it, and then we will talk about the answers tomorrow. So if you do your best, if you get them wrong, it's not a big deal. We'll work on correcting them during our math meeting time tomorrow. Okay? Just do your best.